But I want to start off with what I think is the biggest story of the morning, really. It's funny because Jack, who I did a video with last week, we did the video on Rasmus Højlund. He saw this list and described it as it's almost like a takeaway menu. Because Chris Wheeler in the Mail, good journalist, Manchester-based journalist as well. I'm sure we've mentioned the Mail and Chris Wheeler before. He's done this article and it's basically listing the players that are up for sale. So Donny van der Beek, 20 million, Fred, 20 million, Alanga, 20 million, Telles, 10 million, Bay, 2 million, Brandon Williams, 5 million, and obviously Iqbal's already gone. They're the players that are definitely up for sale. So Donny van der Beek, 20 million. I think we do well to get that. Fred, 20 million. I think you can get. Alanga, 20 million. I think is pie in the sky. No chance. Hannibal Mabry for 13. Again, I think that might be a little bit too much. I think 10. Telles, 10. Maybe you'd get that. Eric Bailly, 2 is ridiculous. Brandon Williams, 5 million. I don't know. We'll listen to offers for Harry Maguire around £40 million. Again, I think that's a little bit too much considering his wages, but, he is England's starting centre-back. So, Scott McTominay, 40 million. Again, too much. I think 30 is probably the lowest you're going to get, and is around that sort of value. Although Scottish international. Dean Henderson, 20 million for me. That looks about right. And then also on the list, at the right price, Jadon Sancho can go 45 million. I think that when I look at that, and look, I suppose I always feel a bit harsh doing this, but let's do a poll here. Should we sell Sancho? Just yes or no. I mean, I'm not talking about prices here. Chris Olive says, as well as a couple of strikers and a holding, we also need a winger who has 10 and 15 goals in him. Get Chiesa and don't let the Scousers get him, says Chris. I think that, look, I was on TalkSport this morning talking to Dean Saunders, and he made a good point. He said, look, at the end of the day, when you're going on that pre-season tour and you've got everyone on the plane and you're off to the States, do you want players on there that you don't want and they know you don't want? When you're trying to build on from last season, a new fresh season, starting together, do you want players on that plane that know you don't rate them and, you don't want them? And that is the problem. And this is something that United have done time and time again. And Dean Saunders is absolutely correct. You get on that plane to the States and you take Harry Maguire, Jadon Sancho, Brandon Williams, Dean Henderson, whoever else, Scott McTominay. They already know they're not really part of Ten Hag's plans because he doesn't really pick them. We're openly... Look, people can say... I heard some people last night saying, well, yeah, the thing about Maguire and Sancho and McTominay is United will listen to offers. They're not actually up for sale. And I was like, how naive do people want to be? If I'm Harry Maguire and I know United are going to listen to offers, that means I'm up for sale. It's what that means is United don't have confidence that they can sell them, but they will listen to offers. Like if I'm Jadon Sancho and I'm reading that United will listen to offers for me, I'm up for sale. That's my mentality. I'd be like, right, to my agent, get me out of here, because if they're willing to listen to offers, I'm not part of the long-term plans. Look, he won't listen to offers for Lindelof. Lindelof's untouchable. He won't listen to offers for Bruno or Varane or Rashford or Casemiro, but he'll listen to offers for Maguire and McTominay and Sancho because they're up for sale. If you're listening to offers, they're up for sale. So, look, I'm surprised. I am surprised. 58% of you would sell Sancho, 42% wouldn't. I back the manager on this. If he's looked at Sancho for a year and he's decided he's never going to be a player for me, get him out. Would I give him another year? I think I would. But I don't see Sancho every day. I don't know how he trains. I don't know how he fits into Ten Hag's plans. Is he ever going to be the type of player that Ten Hag wants? I don't think Jadon Sancho's ever going to be like Anthony, obsessively tracking back and working hard. Some players just aren't like that. And I suppose people get offended about selling Sancho for 45 million when we spent 75 million pounds on him. Why? If I if I come into a shop, if I take over a football club and there's a player there that I want to get rid of, and the owners say, but we paid £75 million for him, I'd say, yeah, you did. Don't judge me on your mistakes. I wasn't even here. I was winning titles at Ajax. Sancho for 75 million has got nothing to do with me. Harry Maguire for 80 million has got nothing to do with me. I didn't buy these players. So if I come in and say, move them on, that's my instruction. Am I the manager or am I the bitch for your mistakes from the past? I'm the manager. Move them on. I'm not keeping players because you made mistakes in the past. And he shouldn't have to do that. And I think people get confused by that. I see journalists in the media getting confused by that. They're like, you can't sell Jadon Sancho for 45 million 2 years after you bought him for 75. Why? I didn't buy him. He's not part of my plans. You want me to keep him for another year to show you that he's not part of my plans? And then we'll be lucky if we get 30? You know, ultimately, there is a problem. We need to sell him. And if you sell him now, you'll get more money than you do in a year because I won't use him next year. So he's actually going to decrease in value. And do you want to loan a player out that you paid £75 million for 2 years and pay half his wages for? Wake up. You're going to take a hit. Take the smallest hit now. Hi, Mark. What do you think about the Mount deal? I agree that we need to walk away, but I do not trust the people in charge of our transfers to atone with a better deal, says Karan. Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute because we have held talks with a couple of players. Nick says, selling Sancho shows Fergie-style levels of ruthlessness from Ten Hag. Now he has had mental health issues, but still have to back the manager on this, says Nick J. Mate, look, I like Jadon Sancho. I was very excited when we bought him. You're completely right. He's had a very challenging year, and we don't really know the full story behind that. Maybe there'll be an interview at some point. But always judge a footballer as a footballer. Is Jadon Sancho good enough to be a first-team player for United? No. Is he good enough to be a bench player for Manchester United? Yes. Can you have a bench player on 300 grand a week who costs £75 million? No. However you try, and I like Sancho, and I've thought about it a lot, and the ideal situation is he comes back from the summer break, he's absolutely plays to his full potential, and he starts for Man United. But I don't think he does start for Man United, because I think Antony and Rashford start ahead of him, and even Garnacho. I can't see him getting in the team. So therefore I see a player that's on 300 grand a week and costs £75 million sitting on the bench doing cameos. That's not good for anybody. So I think some people try and turn it into something really negative. But if you pragmatically look at it and go, forget the fee, forget the wages, is he a first team player? No. Can you have a player like that on the bench on those wages and that fee? No. What's best for everybody? It's best for him. You know, you talk about the potential mental health issues. Well, they're not going to be helped by not playing. It's more pressure. He needs to go and play football. He needs to play football. And I think it'd be better for him to go as well at the moment. Now, a loan deal would be nice, but we can't afford to loan people who have a value like that. Morning, Mark. If we can get 45 million or close for Sancho now, I'd take it. If he doesn't work again next season, we won't get anywhere near that, says John. Exactly. And Nuts says, hi, Mark. I don't know if anyone has spoken on it, but how do you feel with United thinking about giving Garnacho the number 7, says Nuts. We spoke about it on Friday, mate, and I agree with giving him the number 7 shirt because, as Scarboy says, Garnacho's better than Sancho. He's doing really, really well. I'd give him the number 7 shirt. Zoe says, I like Sancho, however 45 to 50 million isn't bad, and to be honest, it's not what we expected. People already calling him a flop. Look, before we move on to the incoming news about Rabiot and Caicedo, let me just say this. There is a glaringly obvious problem here. I think pragmatically, Ten Hag wants to move him on. Pragmatically, 45, 50 million pounds is reasonable. And I think people will be interested. Pragmatically, Sancho's never going to be in our first team and he can't sit on the bench on that sort of a wage. And pragmatically, I think it's best for everybody that he parts ways if that's the decision made by the club and Ten Hag. If Ten Hag wants to keep him, let's keep him, by the way. The problem you've got is the same problem we discussed last night with Harry Maguire. There will be clubs that consider buying Harry Maguire for 30, 40 million, but they will not pay him 200 grand a week. And there will be clubs that look at Jadon Sancho on 45 million as a transfer fee who will definitely consider it, but they will not pay him 300 grand a week. So that's going to be the problem. And this is something this is why we need new ownership, because it's impossible to manage. Forget Ten Hag, even if it's Pep Guardiola. If he's being told he can't sell the players he wants to sell because nobody will get paid the wages, you're going to say to your director of football and you're going to say to your CEO, I'm telling you to sell Harry Maguire and Jadon Sancho so I can bring better players in. And you're telling me, yeah, we'd like to, but we can't because no one will pay their wages. How are we working through this solution then? I'm the manager and I'm telling you to sell those two players so we can improve. And you're telling me you can't because their wages are too big. Can you not see the issue here?